What would
Yeah.
you say? So in this like information age that we're living in, what what do you see it like evolving into the role of the software engineer over the next like 20 years?
I think it's going to be a lot of, it's going to get a lot easier, and a lot more people are going to do it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, you can see this sort of already happening where it used to be 20 years ago, right? You'd have to hire some guy to write COBOL, and he'd, have to do all this math, or maybe he'd have to write some assembly or whatever, very low level machine code. But what's happened now as opposed to 20 years ago in the 2000s, we've put a lot of layers of abstraction on top of all that. So if I'm writing in a particular language, let's say JavaScript, that's more one of the higher level languages. I don't have to worry about memory allocation and pointers and all this, computer theory stuff. I just write my code and I tell it what I want to do. So there's a lot of layers. It's like an onion, right?
Yeah.
That go on top of that. And as we keep moving forward, those layers are just going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to be super easy to write an enterprise app and deploy it. That it's going to be so simple, and it adds to the .com bubble, you could say, and it's just going to keep getting bigger. It's going to keep getting easier. So more people are probably going to be interested in it.
Wow. Yeah. Something I'm just like so fascinated with is so like 9 years ago, some friends and I started this organization. And so a big part of like starting this was having a website, right? So I knew nothing about websites, but my friend did a little bit. And so that's how I started to get into like hosting and domains and servers, and like what we wanted to create like didn't exist. So then we try to have a friend do it. They create websites and like as a favor. And this thing took like months and months and months. And now I can create that same website in like an hour.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the things I could not do, because and then like at that time I was like teaching myself CSS a little bit and teaching myself code to do certain things. And now like I can literally create a website in an hour. And just like the technology within those 9 years and what's available, it's so interesting to me what's going to happen the next 9 years and how easy it's going to be for just like average people to just, hey, I want to create something for this online world.
Yeah,
How do I do it? Well, you just Google it, and then it'll give you like, there'll be a YouTube video and someone will give you step-by-step instructions.
exactly.
And like you said, there's like already so much creative. You just like the layers just keep adding up, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it'll definitely be a lot easier for people. And I think also it's going to be I think in the next 20 to 30 to maybe 50 years, we're going to see the world start changing a lot more even after that, because not only is it making the software is going to get easier, but knowing when to use the software is also going to become more common knowledge.
What do you
For
mean by that?
So like in business, there is a lot of stuff that can be automated, like with code,
Okay.
stuff like that. Like at the place I'm working right now, we have some stuff that we've automated away with code. Once somebody was like, hey, I bet we could code something to do that. And we did it, and it was great, and it was awesome, and we saved some money. And but before I came in here and didn't point that out, people would just, they'd throw bodies at it. They'd hire a guy and they'd have him do this thing. Right. And so I think once a lot of the, sort of older generation or people that aren't accustomed to how you should or what you can do with technology sort of start moving along, we're going to start see it popping up more and more, because I've grown up with it. Right. It's programming is taught in schools, just pretty elementary programming. They have code camps and everything. So it's going to be a lot more accessible. And because of that, people are going to start using it more in places where they would throw bodies at it, or they would, do something or make a backroom deal to do whatever here and stuff like that. So if that makes sense, I hope it does.
Yeah. Do you think we talk a lot about like businesses? Do you think governments will like automate more? Like if they can, if like do we need to employ people in the government? We can just automate a lot of this stuff and we don't have as much like red tape to get through, I suppose.
Yeah, it could be a lot of that. I think it sort of depends on what the position is, right? Like you can't automate away a CEO or, Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State, right?
Right.
You can't just do that. But there are probably a lot of, bean counters and, maybe DMV workers or something like that, that we could eventually move to automated systems. And while that is kind of scary and dystopian and Black Mirror, the robots are going to take your jobs. That's really just where it's going to end up because, now that programming is a lot more accessible to a lot more people are going to be like, they're going to make the connection in their brain. They can be like, oh, wait, we can just automate that with this thing over here. And, we'll make that happen.